I just spent a really long time making approximately 92 almost evenly spaced islands. The point of doing all this is to give each island its own individual people with their own individual traits. And then we're going to let them battle it out for a million years to find out which trait is going to be the best. So I've still got a lot of work to do. Like every island's going to need a little bit of resources. They're not going to get a lot, but if they run out, they can go take their neighbors. And no, these aren't going to be completely evenly distributed. That's just the nature of how things spawn in this game, and that's okay. Some people will get 3 stones, some will get 1. All will die eventually. Look, if you want accurate science, go read a book or something. You're in the wrong place for accurate science. And to give them all a nice head start, they're going to get an individual berry bush each. So far so good. Now to add the population. Every island is going to get exactly 5 humans. And I just realized now how long this is actually going to take to set up. We individually have to place 5 idiots on every island, then give them the traits, then rename them. And just like that, I've applied an individual trait to each individual island. Some of these are inherently good, like immune, more armor, more fertility, more max age. Some are pretty bad, like stupid, look at all the problems they're gonna have. Some are going to be completely useless, like growing flower where they walk. And some of them are the reason they need to be on islands surrounded by water. Pyromaniac likes to see the world burn. We also have one island of basically traitless just to see how they will survive without any traits. And beyond that, since I ran out of traits, I put the rest of them in a little timeout where they're slowly drowned to death. I have also installed the selective breeding mod, so every time they have a baby, the baby will have the traits of all of the parents. So by the end of this, you might have these 8 islands all having the same traits of an empire. But now it might be the hardest part, having them start moving. Trees are going to grow for them, sometimes more than others, and then as they finally form their empires, we need to name their empires after their traits. But if they're not in a hurry to start their empires, it's going to be hard to catch them all. I get a pretty good start at things. Sometimes you have acid touch, poisonous, short-sighted. They're creating their kingdoms. I have a feeling that whatever these are not going to last very long in this little experiment. Burns the ground where he walks. Yeah, this island might be doomed. It looks like he's already on the way to the neighbors, so they're really going to enjoy that over there. Alright, I think I've got all of the current kingdoms named, so we'll go through a little bit of time to see what happens. I do kind of want to keep my eye on this guy. Maybe they can swim across deep water. Well, that's good then, because he's trapped on his burning island. Imagine being born next to that. After a quick glance around, you can really start to see where some of these are going to have an advantage over others. Like tough is probably a good one, being tiny is probably not. Especially when you're beside an island full of tough people. Some of them are taking their sweet time to make an empire, but that's probably part of their personality traits. So I'm going to give them just a minute right now to really set up their empires, then I'm just going to try and name them all at once. I don't know what this is. Make a heartbeat, drums in my chest. I have no idea if that's going to be any help at all, but they have flowers on their island instead of trees, which is curious. This is starting to get overwhelming with all the different things going on. But yay, lucky me, I think I have 90% of them filled out, so I can finally name all the islands properly. I actually kind of like these guys' odds being fireproof, because I feel like a lot of these islands are going to get set on fire at some point. They're literally neighbors with fire blood, so if these guys die or get hurt, everything's going on fire. Curiously, as we reach the weak empire, they've already assimilated their neighbors into them somehow. I don't know how they did that, especially considering they're weak. The neighbors were simply miners, but since they've already been absorbed, I'm not going to bother to rename them. That's their punishment for getting taken over by the weak. And checking in on our firewalkers, they've definitely already been eliminated. This is pretty funny. Imagine being born into the world and some people have like immortal and healing aura. These guys have skin burns. These guys I'm hoping will breed themselves out fairly quickly. When they die, they release a nuke. So if that spreads across the map, that's going to be pretty chaotic. Same with Bomberman. Considering he lives on an island that's already on fire, fittingly, they're probably not going to last long. Now that I've renamed another 3,000 kingdoms, time to let them play a little bit more. I've also turned off border stealing for kingdoms, at least for now. That way they can expand and grow within themselves, but they shouldn't be able to take each other's space yet. They need to grow within themselves. I'm not really seeing a clear leader at this point, but it's only really been a few minutes. I've had to take so much time to rename everyone, they haven't really had much time to live. I've already gotten the news that several villages were destroyed. Whirlwind was destroyed. Well, I guess that's probably pretty self-explanatory. Bomberman Empire seems to be struggling for some reason, which is sad because they're right beside Death Bomb, so that could create a chain reaction into Nuke Bomb thing over here. Not surprisingly, Voices and Head has actually lost a person. They're probably going crazy. Peaceful is actually maybe the biggest empire so far. Oh, Greedy is getting big as well. They're slowly starting to expand. So is Tough. My favorite so far is definitely Death Bomb. I just love it because they're literally a ticking time bomb. As soon as one of them blows up, they're all gonna blow up. And I think they're already building boats, so they're pretty smart. Using boats, they can travel to other islands and fish. Maybe they want to visit their neighbors Bomberman, who are really having trouble keeping their island not on fire. So far, after 5 minutes, Weak is in the lead with 20. They did take over their minor neighbors. Tough is also up there, Lustful of course, because they're breeding quickly. Blessed is doing well. Death Bomb, curiously, is also going for it. But these will all start to change very, very quickly. We're just going to let them sort of do what they can on their own little islands. I think this one was Madness, and these people can't actually join anything because they're just insane. Also, Kyra of Moon, I think was just a cast off of Mega Heartbeat. I'm not going to rename them because they're their own little thing now. But eventually we're probably going to get some really cool combinations of different traits. And those will just keep passing down until we have some kind of super race. The good traits will remain, the bad traits will breed themselves out. And they've more or less kept themselves to their little square islands. I just heard some kind of explosion. I don't know where that was, maybe whatever this was. Yeah, that's definitely the Bomberman guys again. They're just sort of doing their thing. This one developed strong, curiously. But Bombermans have blown up their empire already. Yeah, these guys are literally destroying bombs all over their island, which obviously blow each other up. They blow up their houses, and then their island lights on fire. So these guys are my #1 pick to not last any longer. The wise village next door is hardly breeding. They're probably just really loving the contrast between their neighbors that are throwing bombs all over their tiny island. So far this is actually working out really nicely. Everyone's just slowly spreading. Some traits obviously better than others. Some pretty useless, like you being freeze-proof in a summer island. The king has abandoned Bomberman Island. I couldn't imagine why. They really seem to be struggling to get any traction. They keep reforming their empire and they keep blowing it up. I'm a little curious if they can make it as far as throwing bombs to the neighbors, which would set up a really bad chain of events. I don't know why the weak empire is growing so quickly, but they're really managing well. They've got 33 people, but they are very weak. I feel like Healing Aura are going to have a very unfair advantage because they're just constantly going to be healing themselves and each other. And it looks like some of these traits just straight up turn these people into zombies anyway, with all sorts of new traits, but that's very zombie-like. So there's zombies on this island. They would be unwise to take them off that island. So far, it looks like the winning strategy was to quickly take over a neighboring island for that extra space and resources and just keep breeding. The wrong strategy is to throw bombs all over yourselves. And I can see why the Blessed Empire is doing so well. They have huge fertility, they have extra armor, damage. These guys might be the winner overall, especially if they can breed with some other good traits. The borders and boundaries are also straight. It would be really a shame to turn off the kingdom stealing and let them start taking over each other, but we're going to have to pretty soon. I'm going to let them go at ×3 speed for a while just so they can actually utilize their resources and build up some population. It's already been 15 years, Super Health is almost in the lead, Weak is way at the top, Mage Slayer, Tough, Glutton, you get the idea. But they haven't really been able to fight each other and therefore interbreed, which we're going to start now. So border stealing is officially okay. As soon as they want or decide they want more room, they can go visit their neighbors' islands and take over. They're not in a particular hurry to do that yet, but they do have some armies sitting around waiting to get on a boat. So we're just going to jump up to speed 3 and wait for an announcement of war to see what happens. I don't know how there's not more war going on. There is 90 different empires here. Not one of them wants to fight each other yet. Instead of fighting each other, they just keep making new villages. But we're starting to see some potential aggression now, so this is going to get exciting. The Kingdom of Blessed has declared war on the Cold Auras. And I'm pretty sure the Blessed are absolutely going to run through them because the Cold Aura just has a Cold Aura. And the Blessed do have a legitimate army, at least a small one with legendary weapons, plus all of their incredible stats. Also, the Kingdom of Weak has declared war on Poisonous. I'm not sure how much they're going to love that battle, but they're going to go for it. The armies might not be able to swim that much, but they do have boats and I think they can take those. I mean, they clearly made it to these islands to establish a colony there. Why can the army not cross a little bit of water? Kingdom Lustful has declared war on Fat and Kingdom Thorns has declared war on Tiny. So far, it looks like the armies are mostly just sitting in their original place, not doing much of anything. Kingdom Tough has declared war on Ugly. We have all sorts of different things playing out before us. Since the armies don't seem to be able to easily cross water, I'm going to help everyone along. I'm going to connect each and every one of these islands by a single little bit of land. That way they can finally start to mingle as they want to do. And this is going to be especially interesting because from what I've seen, they're declaring war on their direct neighbors. So they should just be able to march over and have a fight. Alright, I've connected all of their islands together, so this should be chaotic. Now, before letting them all go and start their wars properly, I need to do something about the zombie problem on this island, otherwise that's going to spread like a plague and ruin the whole experiment. Trust me, I know, I just played out this whole experiment before I realized the zombies got out. So I'm going to very carefully airlift them away because I'm using a magnet. I will suck up anything else that gets in the way, so it's going to be a bit of a maze to get out of here. Okay, I made it to open water. We're going to put the zombies in the timeout with their friends down there. They can all enjoy each other's company. I decided to be careful and do another sweep, and guess what? I found 2 more zombies. At this point, I can confirm the strongest traits are zombie and mushroom spores because they both essentially do the same thing. When these guys die, they spread problems that go like wildfire. So congratulations, mushroom spores. You were actually so strong that I need to remove you from the game because you keep ruining my experiment. That's fine. You can all go live a happy life together, but I will take that boat out of there slowly. You can be a free-range boat. Okay, now that we've removed the very spreadable problems, we're going to let the world go. I'm also going to keep a close eye on mushroom spores right now to make sure there's no one left here that's going to escape. Okay, I assume they're all drowning on the far side of the world. Now we can focus on Blessed fighting their neighbor's Cold Aura. These two do not like each other, but I'm pretty sure Blessed carries an advantage because they have really good stats against people that make snow on the ground. Don't think they've lost any population. Cold Aura is actually gone that quickly. Blessed are going to be a problem for everyone else. Speaking of a problem for everyone else, Bombermen are really doing a number on their own island, as they do. That's why the population can never grow. So far, there's a few kingdoms that have expanded their territory. Blessed is one of the notable ones that took over a neighbor island. Poisonous is doing well, but they're also about to be attacked by Weak. If I'm seeing that correctly, I think Death Nuke is fighting Mage Slayers, so there's going to be no winners in this battle, that much I'm sure of. We'll just sit back and wait for even just one of them to die. This is just a kamikaze move for everyone involved. So we'll just wait patiently. There we go. That ends the kingdom of Death Nuke. And they also took Mage Slayers with them because they happen to be their neighbor. So that frees up some real estate down here in the middle. They still have to live near Death Bomb, but they're not nearly as bad as Death Nuke. Super Health are definitely expanding as well. That shouldn't be a surprise. They're probably very, very hard to kill. 10,000 HP compared to a regular idiot that has 169. Super Health are going to be a problem, especially if they manage to combine with like Healing Aura, Immortal, Lucky, etc. because they'll just regenerate their massive health constantly. Thorns is actually doing very well. They're taking over. So eventually, every time these kingdoms take one over, their children have the traits of both, and they'll keep expanding and expanding until we have some kind of superhuman. And the original empire will have the name, so we'll know what the original trait was that managed to take over everyone else. Strangely, Peaceful are attacking the neighbor Lucky. Maybe they're jealous of their peace. Or they're attacking One-Eyed. I can understand why they might be easier to fight. This should be a good fight. The Wise are going to attack Flower Walk. Flower Walk have the incredible power of leaving flowers where they walk. Not sure who's going to win this battle. You'd think Wise would, because that wisdom should count for something. They're having a colossal battle of 7 multiple idiots all in one little area. Flower Walk do actually outnumber them by quite a bit, so they might actually be winning this, which is weird because they're Flower Walk. I think their war is over, but also the neighbors lobbed a bomb into their territory for some reason, so now they have to put out a fire. Aside from Death Nuke, I think Bomberman is probably the second worst neighbor you can have. Poisonous are doing super strong. They've got 3 islands and 114 population, which I don't really get. Like, are people eating Poisonous? Why are Poisonous so strong? Bloodlust naturally are taking over a lot, 74, but they've got to be careful who they attack because they'll go crazy and attack anyone and then they'll get killed. Lustful and Fertile should probably get together because they'll breed like absolute rabbits. And with all the mushroom spores, I threw them down here in the corner, but they weren't dying, which was annoying me, so I put them a volcano, so they're slowly struggling to get away from the volcano that's slowly getting closer to where they're swimming. I have managed to create the most unstable area in the entire universe, though. Everyone's constantly fighting everyone. They want each other's land and resources. They don't like their traits. They want their traits. I'm quite proud of what we've created here today. Now that we see how things are starting to work, we're going to turn the speed up to 3 to let things happen a little quicker. Acid Blood just took over someone. They might fight Poisonous. They're going to fight Regeneration. Regeneration is a really strong one. Yeah, it's never hard to tell where the Mega Heartbeats are at because they're just always making a show of it. The Fertile guys have taken over another island. I don't remember what was here, but it wasn't anything too exciting. Fast might be fighting Tough, and if we have Fast and Tough together, that's going to be a really strong trait too. Oh, this is going to be good. They're going to be Fast and Fertile and Tough because these guys are also the breeders. I can't remember what they were. Lustful, Fast, and Fertile. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. They'll breed and run and take over a new island and then breed there too. So the Fast Kingdom are actually the strongest ones here. Maybe not army-wise, but population-wise. Poisonous has the strongest army, but we've got a few kingdoms over 100 so far. I suppose the breeders will actually have the long-term advantage though, because the more generations they can cycle through, the more they're going to spread their traits around and create superhumans. Although Tough did just take a lot of the map with 155. So actually ultimately it might be like Tough and Thorns, which are about to combine, versus like super health regenerations. So this is Tough and Thorns fighting each other. I don't know which one's going to overcome which, but they will take over enough of the population to combine their traits together. So we're definitely getting less and less empires as we go. Strangely, they're getting bigger on the outside. I thought the middle would be more so where they expand from. But I suppose there's a lot of different traits at play here, a lot of different factors. Looks like Thorns is taking over, so yeah, these guys are going to have Thorns and Tough, so they might be the front runners at this point. Especially if they're getting things like Giant and Stupid mixed in there. They'll probably absorb a little bit of Genius to balance that Stupid out. Tough is definitely going to be on the way out. Especially because Fertile's getting in there. So these guys are going to be Tough, Thorns, Fertile, Breeders, and Fast. They might really run amok on the map. But there's definitely way less kingdoms than when we started. There's a lot of bombs going off suddenly, so I think someone's fighting the bomb death guys. Because suddenly there's a whole bunch. Yep, there's another one. They're not nukes, but they're still pretty funny. Not sure how many of them there are left. I cannot really... Yeah, death bomb. There's still 100 of these guys. They're going to make such a mess of the map. 100 death bombs. Now we're starting to see the giant empires emerge. Paranoid took over as a leader, 253. But they're also going to get attacked by Poisonous, who have 150, but their armies might be a similar size. Either way, they may combine into one giant empire, and their traits are all going to combine again. The King of Death Bomb has abandoned Death Bomb. I think I understand why. It's mostly just a series of explosions at this point. They probably have Bomberman throwing bombs at Death Bomb, so it's just creating a chain reaction of bombs. That's why these islands look like this. But they have recovered pretty nicely from the nukes. Flower Walk down here is actually going to go fight Super Health for some reason. That's a bad idea because Super Health is slowly taking over. Oh, it was a meteor. That's what I keep hearing. Those guys just got absolutely destroyed by a meteor. But here's a 1-year-old Thorns at this point. Look at all the traits they inherited along the way. They've got things like Attractive, Thorns, Lucky, Toughness. Short-sighted doesn't help them, but they don't need anything else. And they're about to fight Fast. They're going to destroy Fast, just like that. So now they're going to take over Fast traits from the survivors. I think if they take over Fertile and maybe Genius, they might be the ones that win this whole thing because they're going to be able to absorb all those traits. Yeah, look at their kids already. Strong, Miracle-born, Wise, Fast, Ambitious, Agile, Long Liver, and Tough. So the kingdoms as it stands, Thorns 383, Super Health 278. The army of Thorns is absolutely huge. And how are my little lava friends doing down here? They're still surviving. They're probably not loving their life. They're swimming endlessly while waiting for a volcano to eat them. Flesh Eaters over here actually up to 136. I didn't think that would be a particularly useful trait. But the original Flesh Eaters might not have actually bred that much. We might just have sort of a conglomeration of other traits at this point. Freeze Proof is up to 364 because they're actually destroying Poisonous. Poisonous lost their armies. Being Poisonous probably wasn't a huge advantage for them. That just means they don't eat them. And unless you're a Flesh Eater, that shouldn't be a problem. I should have put them side by side. That would have been fun. Freeze Proof 409. They just took over as a leader, but not by a huge amount. And they're going to finish off Poisonous down here. That's also going to put them on the doorstep of Super Health, though. And these guys, even just with Super Health, are insane. At least the ones that have managed to grab the trait so far. 10,000 HP is absolutely bananas. If they can get some healing stacked on there, they'll be unstoppable. Coming up on 50 years, and this is what the empires have devolved into. Freeze Proof is definitely the biggest. Thorns is up there, but there's only really maybe 10 empires left. Soon to be less because Bloodlust is going for the Flesh Eaters. That sounds like a winning combination to me. Freeze Proof has jumped up to almost 500 population now, so they're really starting to take over, but they probably have a fun bunch of traits in there. Pretty sure Death Bomb might be under attack, and that's a really tricky one to fight because obviously as you fight them, they blow up and kill you too. It's like Mega Thorns, but too much. So this guy's part of the Freeze Proof Empire. He didn't inherit any of the Freeze Proof, at least not yet. But he's got things like Strong, Honest, Wise. So that's why they have a really strong base. And the more they breed, the more the traits will spread, obviously. And Eagle Eye just took over someone here. I kind of missed who that was, but now they're all going to fight each other. So Thorns is probably going to take Eagle Eye unless they have a bunch of traits we don't know about. They're actually pretty strong. I guess anyone on the board at this point has lots of traits that are really going to help them out. That's probably going to be a fairly short-lived battle because Thorns is just too many numbers. Look at all the armies moving in. But with all of these different traits, oh, this is the Thorns guy too. Look at all he's got. Yeah, they're just going to run them over, I'm pretty sure. Amongst all the chaos, even if not, the Thorns can probably just win on numbers. There's just too many of them. They even have a giant. Yeah, Eagle-Eyed is getting absolutely decimated. They're quickly losing their numbers and they'll just become part of Thorns and then they're going to combine all the traits once they breed. So Thorns took back over on the lead and they're still going more. They want to finish off Eagle-Eyed. Eventually they're going to clash with Freeze Proof and we'll see which one wins there. Bloodlust is 346 also. Super Health is 346, so there's a big empires emerging. I like how just no one can do anything with Death Bomb, because as soon as you blow one up, they take like 8 of your units with you, and then they probably retreat. And curiously, Moonchild is one of the big winners. I don't actually know what that is, but you think it'd be useful under the moon. Though I can see why they're doing well. They have Wise, Genius, Paranoid, Tiny, Miracle-Born, Ambitious, Pacifist. This one somehow skipped over Moonchild, but I think they're not that old yet. The Thorin's Empire at this point, look at all those armies. They're up to 600 population, so as it sits right now, they're probably the favorite. But Freeze Proof is about to fight Super Health. This is going to be an interesting battle. There's also bombs going on over here. This is where the main battle's happening. Okay, someone there had the explosive thing. That's going to be interesting because Super Health might actually be able to survive explosions just because of their Super Health. Yeah, I think Super Health is actually going to win. I think they can absorb bomb blasts. Whereas Freeze Proof obviously can't. They die, the bomb blast will take out lots of them. I mean, it's very hard to defeat a soldier with 10,000 HP, plus Wise and Attractive. Super Health now has, well, the same population as Freeze Proof. They might actually tip the balance. And I think Moonchild is also attacking Freeze Proof now, so that's going to help. Yep, Super Health is actually pushing upwards. They're pushing them back, probably just because they can tank so much damage. So then it'll be curious eventually to see Super Health versus Thorns. I like how the Bomberman Empire is still here. They're up to 9 population. They keep throwing bombs everywhere, so they can't get any bigger than that, but they're one of the originals. Freeze Proof is almost eliminated at this point because Moonchild and Super Health have been moving up towards them. Yep, Freeze Proof is about dead, year 65, and they're basically, yep, there they go, they're eliminated. Super Health was 600 though. I think they're going to sweep over the world. So I'm ready to make my official prediction, now that it's basically clear who the winner is. Super Health are going to go for it. Empires like that, whatever that was, just got eliminated. These guys probably have lots of cool perks too. Geniuses are staying really left alone, I think because they're smart. Yeah, they're genius, strong. I think the genius helps keep them out of problems. They have really good diplomacy and warfare, so no one's going to fight them. We're coming up on year 70, but Super Health are 630. They're by far the biggest, with 250 army too, so they're definitely the most dangerous. So let's turn it up to speed 5 and let a few generations turn over to really let those traits set in. We're also starting to see lots of weird little break-off empires start, which is why someone needs to take over Genius and get that stewardship. They are pushing up actually. The Super Health are pushing in and really taking over. Thorns are being defeated, but I think they broke off into a few different empires, so they're having trouble holding it together. They really need to take Geniuses out. Skipping ahead to year 90, Super Health are clearly holding the advantage with 850. They're pushing way up into the corner of the map. They're really going straight over for Bloodlust. They're the ones with Bloodlust now. I can see why these guys are so good though. Their Super Health combined with like Wise gives them warfare. Eagle-Eyed gives them critical chance. Dragon Slayer gives them warfare. And Fury of the Moon, I think, is what used to be Thorns, but I think we can consider Thorns eliminated at this point. Not sure what's going on down here. Some kind of storm. This wasn't me at all. This was something the game did all by itself. That's kind of neat. Some kind of giant storm or something. Bomberman is still going strong. They have 20 population, but no one can do anything about them because of their stupid bombs. The green guys are trying now, Super Health, but it's still really hard to get in past all them bombs. And Super Health are just so ambitious at this point. They're just fighting everyone. They're pushing all directions of the map, but they can get away with it. Like, they absolutely destroyed Bloodlust. Thanks to their giant health, mostly. Vertal is still sitting up there, perfectly left to their own devices. Same with Acid Blood and Geniuses. Genius isn't a surprise, but I'm really impressed with how well they do just sort of hanging out. Same with Evil. No one really bothers them. I think they're really good at diplomacy or just really good at scheming, so they get away with doing just hanging out. I've definitely managed to create a pretty wild, unstable world. I'm sure anyone up here has such a mix of traits that they can have pretty much all the traits ever. Super Health is still going strong. They're still very strong, but some of these other guys also have Super Health by now also. Like, I just click on a random guy and look at all of his traits. Super Health is one of them, but he's got everything across the board. Yeah, everyone I click on. Whole stack of traits at this point, so they really did manage to stack them up. So Super Health is definitely one of the very strongest traits, if not the strongest. But Evil did very, very well, and Genius, like, no one even touches them. They're just so good at everything that Genius is also one of the strongest traits. So I'm going to put it on absolutely warp speed. We're going through like 10 years per second right now, as you can tell by the text on the left. And something's absolutely destroying the entire world. I don't know what that was. It might just be the game going too fast to keep up with what's happening. But one thing we might be able to conclude after 400 years of this experiment is the last survivors are somehow fertile, but more interestingly, Moonchild. They would have been my last pick to survive this long. But it's not exactly a regular Moonchild, it's someone with all the traits on the board. Because selective breeding. Okay, the end.